I thought I would do my January wrap-up video. I did a really good job this month reading books. I read 13 and a half books. I did not finish the 14th book, and I'm pretty bummed about it because I was like, yeah, 14, yeah, strong, start, whatever. But it didn't happen, which I guess is fine. Since I read so many books, I'm going to be kind of brief with this just so that I can get through all of them without making this video forever long. So hopefully I can do that. Also, I had a really, really bad day at work today, just in general. So before I start this video, I'm going to take a shot of whiskey. So bear with me for just a moment while I do that. This is really good. It's called Blue State, and I think it was on sale, so I bought it. And I'm also using my Oscar Wilde shot glass with a quote on it that says, "Work is the curse of the drinking class." And I kind of identify with this right now. So, you want to take a shot with me? I'll pause for a moment and let you get your chosen drink, which it could be Sprite. You could just drink Sprite. It's fine too. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Just good. Whew. Okay. Now, on to my video. So the first book that I read this year, I really loved. It was Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. It is a story about the end of the world, and it is curiously optimistic. I rated it 5 stars. It was sentimental and sweet, and the prose was really beautiful. And it was just a really wonderful book. And actually, after I read this, I found a copy of her first novel at my bookstore signed, so I picked that up too, and I will probably read it soon, although it doesn't look as good as this, just based on the description, so hopefully I'll like it just as much. The second book that I read this year, or this month, / this year, since it's all the same thing, second book I read, A Court of Thorns and Roses. I had finally finished reading and catching up with the Throne of Glass series, and so I decided to move on to this one. I didn't really care for it. I was bored, like a lot. And I don't really like Rysand at all, and I'm not really excited for the next book because of that. So I'm kind of bummed. I mean, it was okay. Like, I didn't hate it. I just, it was alright. So, that's my opinion on this. The third book that I read this year is probably one of my favorite books that I've read so far, and that is Darker Shade of Magic by Schwab. It's one of those that has been on my list. I love this cover, and every time I see a photo of it, I'm like, yes, I want to read that. That's my shit. But I haven't had access to it for a while, and a used copy came into my store, so I got it for free, eventually. And I read it in a day, and I loved the entire thing. Everything about it. It was perfect. So I'm very happy that I finally read this, and I can tell you that if you're wondering if it lives up to the hype, it totally does. Fourth book that I read this month was A Touch of Power by Snyder. I love the study series and the companion series to the Glass series as well. I read Shadow Study. I have not read Night Study yet, but I'm excited to do that. I didn't know this existed until very recently, when I immediately bought the entire trilogy because I had it in my gift card. The first book was pretty good. I gave it about 4 stars. It has a really great character set. Like, all of the cast is really good. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I really enjoyed the a post-apocalyptic fantasy setting. Like the book takes place after a epidemic has killed millions and millions of people, so the world is rebuilding after losing so much of its population. It's not something that you really see in fantasy that often, so I thought that was really great. The next book that I read, I don't actually have with me, but it's Cruel Crown, which is the novella That's a Red Queen novella. It has 2 stories in it. One with the queen. What's her name? Shit. I don't even remember. One with the evil queen and one with the good queen, which is Cal's mother. And I loved it. And I don't know if any of you have heard me talk about how much I don't like Glass Sword yet, but I really hated it. And I really loved this. And I think it's the perfect example of how I really like the bare bones of Victoria Aveyard's writing, but her full-length novels are just so weak. She's just a very developing writer, and I really hope she writes more stuff so that I can continue to read it and hope that it's good, because I will. Okay, so I'll move on before I start ranting about Glass Sword. The next 2 books that I read were the remainder of this trilogy. Unfortunately, I did not think it ended well. I gave this, the 3rd book, only 2 stars because of the ending. It was terrible. I was really genuinely disappointed with it. And so I don't know if I'd recommend the trilogy as a whole because of that, but it's kind of one of those things that if you know you like Maria Snyder, you will enjoy reading the books. And I enjoyed the process of reading them, even though the ending was so bad. So I don't know. It's kind of worth it. I don't know. It's up to you. Okay, and then the next book I read was Vicious by Schwab. After I finished A Darker Shade of Magic, I immediately went out and got everything else that I could get by her. Well, just this one, actually. And I read it fairly quickly. I feel like I owned the archive at some point, and I don't have it anymore, so maybe I'll read that at some point, but I don't know. I really liked Vicious. I did not know that it was an anti-hero story, and so that kind of surprised me a lot, and I was expecting it to be a little more optimistic than it was, but I still really, really enjoyed it. The next 2 books I don't have because I borrowed them. Illuminae by Amie Kaufman and Kristof. That book was amazing! Amazing! Like, holy shit, So you have this planet that is owned by a corporation. It's an illegal mining planet, and they get attacked by another corporation. And basically everyone on the planet dies except for like 6,000 people that end up on these ships. And so the ships are damaged in their escape, and so they're trying to get to this point where they can get their ships to a point where they can warp and get away from the ships that are following them. And so that's step 1 of this like crazy fucking story. Step 2 is the contagion story that's within the story, where the evil corporation has released a biochemical weapon that messes with your fear inhibitors and turns you into a like violent, angry, murderous, crazy person. And I don't think it's a spoiler because it's in the description, but I will tag this as having spoilers for the book because I'm not really sure, and I don't want to mess it up because I didn't know it was coming and it freaked me out, and so I don't want to ruin that surprise for anyone else. And that's step 2. Step 3 is the AI that gets damaged, that becomes fucking nuts and starts like doing all this shit. And I'm not going to tell you what it does because that would be a spoiler, but he does some crazy shit, or it, I guess, because it's literally a robot type thing. But its name is Aiden, so like whatever. So yeah, I freaking loved Illuminae, and everyone should read it, and it's totally awesome. I will say that you will start off the story stressed out, and you will not stop being stressed out until after the book is done. So there's that. If you are not really good with stressful stories, then you might want to skip this one. Okay. Now that I've done that for a while, the next book that I read was my best friend's Exorcism by Grady, Hendrix, who wrote this book, Horror Store. It was fun. It's about 2 girls who are best friends growing up, and one of them gets possessed by a demon and becomes kind of a bitch because she's possessed by a demon. And it was fine. Like, I kind of have been describing it to people as like reading a B movie. So like, you know, B movies they're pretty good. Like, they're entertaining. They're kind of campy and kind of funny, but like ultimately it can't be that good because it's just a B movie. So like, yeah, that's kind of the experience that I equate to reading this book. I'm gonna do another shot before I continue. I only have a couple more books, so whatever. So shot number two, two, two. I'm just gonna make it as a hot shot, though. So I don't want to get too quick. So I think we're at 9. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. So the next two that I wrote or read, this is gonna be a fucking mess of a video. I can already tell. I read the first 2 volumes of Mourning, Glories, and wow, that starts off pretty crazy and it stays pretty crazy. These like super smart kids go to this super fancy special boarding school, and then they realize that they made a huge mistake, and it's a pretty big deal. I thought they were pretty good. They weren't really my favorite thing that I've read this month, but I didn't hate them, so it was entertaining. Okay, and then the last book that I finished in this month was Bands of Mourning by Brandon Sanderson. I am a huge Mistborn fan. I'm a huge Sanderson fan. I am Cosmere trash, and this book was amazing, and I really want to talk about it with people. So if you've read it and you finished it and you want to talk to me about that freaking epilogue, let me know. We can do the thing. We can rant and cry and maybe start rereading Mistborn again, because that's kind of what I want to do. And then the very last book that I started but did not finish, and probably will finish sometime in the next couple of days, was Enchantress from the Stars by Sylvia Engdahl. It's a really cool concept. It's like you've got this male character who lives on this planet, and it's kind of a feudal society, and he's like a woodcutter's son, and he wants to learn. That's his thing. He has this drive for learning. But he's just a woodcutter's son, so he doesn't really have that much opportunity. And a dragon appears in the land and starts ravaging the land, and so he appeals to the king to try and defeat the dragon so that he can learn knowledge. Then you have this other character who is an anthropologist in a federation of planets, who is going to this planet to stop the dragon, which is actually another race of people from a different planet who are trying to colonize a planet that has not been cleared for colonization. And so you have this guy who's kind of has a very limited view on what the world is like, and then you have this young girl who knows so much, and she pretends to be an enchantress to help him without revealing to herself, kind of like the Prime Directive if you're a Star Trek fan. It's basically like that. So it's a Prime Directive story. It's really good so far, and I wanted to finish it, but I got really distracted by Bands of Mourning, and then I had a hangover from Bands of Mourning and couldn't read anything else. So that's why I didn't finish it. So I'm really excited to finish the story. It's a really old book from 1970, so it's kind of cool to read something like that that is so old. I don't know. So yeah, that was my January wrap-up. I'm really excited about my start for the year. I want to read 125 books, so I feel like 13 and a half is a pretty decent start. So yeah, bye.